What's going on, everybody? It's ETA Prime back here again. It looks like Lenovo is ramping up to release at least two new handhelds in 2025, and there's a chance that at least one of these is going to be running SteamOS right out of the box. The other thing we're actually looking at is an OLED display for their bigger Legion Go. And I wanted to talk a little bit about this because there's been a lot of leaks recently for these new handhelds, and hopefully we will see them at CES 2025. But I think the most significant rumor here is that one of these might be running SteamOS, which is the same operating system we have over on the Steam Deck. And right now, this is known as the Legion Go S. So in the past, we actually saw some leaked shells from the white version of the upcoming Legion S. This is going to be a smaller unit than the original Legion Go, coming in with a 7-inch display. But with these new leaks, we did get kind of a closer look at the overall hardware here. And if you take a look right up here, there's a dedicated Steam button. Now, everybody's kind of going crazy about this, saying, oh yeah, it's going to be a SteamOS device, but it could just be a dedicated Steam button for Windows. Now, one thing that kind of leads us to believe that this may be running SteamOS is the recent changes that Steam did to their branding guidelines, and there have been a few leaks of a possible new Steam machine hitting the market, running what they're calling AMD's Lilac CPU, and over at Tom's Hardware, I'll leave a link for this in the description, they go over some benchmarks that were recently leaked, but through hardware manifests, it does look like this is going to have a dedicated GPU, along the lines of the Radeon RX 7600M. It's not going to be a handheld. I think that this is going to be a smaller, dedicated Steam machine, and we're not even sure if it's going to be released by Valve or a third-party company. But moving back over to what we know about the Legion Go S so far, this is going to have a 7-inch display, and I believe it's going to be an IPS display. It's going to keep that cost down. The CPU is the AMD Ryzen Z2 Go. Now, recently we did get some leaks about AMD releasing 3 Z2 chips. This is going to be the lower-end version of all of the variants. And about a month ago, I did a video talking about these 3 new Z2 variants. At the time, one of them was kind of codenamed the Ryzen Z2G, so it does make sense here to be the Ryzen Z2 Go. Now, one notable thing about this chip is it's actually based on Zen 3 Plus, and we're going to be getting a 12 CU RDNA 2 iGPU with this, making it a budget handheld option. And I do think we're going to see a lot of manufacturers come to the market with something like this. Now, even though this is an RDNA 2 iGPU, it's not all that bad, especially running something like SteamOS at a lower resolution, let's say 800p, 900p. It works out pretty well still to this day. And from what we've seen so far, this new chip is basically a rebranded 6800U. In order for this to succeed, they will have to keep that price pretty low, and without the Windows overhead, there's a chance they could definitely do it. I'd say to make something like this successful, they'd have to hit the market with a price point of $399, nothing more than that. And it would be nice to go lower, but hardware is expensive for manufacturers to produce, so we're going to have to see, and I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. There have also been leaks about a white version, and this could just be a different color variant, but with 3 Z2 chips releasing, I think it's more likely that this will be a Windows handheld powered by the Ryzen Z2. This is going to give us a little more power on the CPU and GPU, based on Zen 4 with a 12 CU RDNA 3 iGPU. Basically what we're seeing right now with the Z1 Extreme and the ROG Ally and the Legion Go. It may make sense for them to come to a market with something like this at a lower price point than the original Legion Go is hitting with those detachable controllers. But the final thing we've been hearing about here is the Legion Go 2, and this is going to be the big daddy when it comes to Lenovo handhelds. Personally, I'm a big fan of the original Legion Go. I've run Windows on it, I've run Bazite, basically SteamOS. It's an outstanding handheld gaming PC. 8.8-inch display, detachable controllers. It performs on par with the best of them out there, given that we've got that 7500 megahertz RAM. But there's no doubt that the Legion Go 2 will have to offer some significant upgrades to get people to upgrade to the Legion Go 2. And with this, we're looking at an 8.8-inch OLED display. So keeping that same size, 16:10 aspect ratio, but instead of IPS, they're going to be utilizing OLED technology. We're still going to get those detachable controllers, and from the renders we're seeing so far, they look very similar, but in the same vein, a lot different, more streamlined, a little more round to them, and I do think what we've seen so far looks pretty good. Now when it comes to the CPU, this is where it's going to get a little flip-floppy because the Ryzen Z2 Extreme is expected to hit the market with 8 cores, 16 threads based on Zen 5, but there is a little bit of back and forth about what iGPU they're going to be using. Some leaks have suggested that it's going to be using the 16CU RDNA 3.5i GPU, same thing we're seeing in the Ryzen AI 9 HX370. It's known as the 890M. And then some said that that was actually canceled, and now they're only going to be going with the 12CU RDNA 3.5i GPU. Same thing in the HX365. Through all of my testing with these new Ryzen AI chips, I'd love to see that 890M in here. With the 16CU version, running at the same wattages that we run the Z1 Extreme at, we can expect anywhere from an 18 to a 25% increase in gaming performance. With the 12CU version, I've seen anywhere from a 10 to an 18% gain. So obviously, having that higher core count iGPU would really benefit the end user here, just better performance across the board. And if you wanted to go to dock mode, we could really take that wattage up. But either way, I'm pretty excited to see what Lenovo really releases, and hopefully we do see this at CES 2025. I should be attending, and if I can, I will go hands-on with it. But until then, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think the price point should be here? Are you interested in that lower end iGPU with SteamOS out of the box, or would you just rather pick up the more powerful unit and install SteamOS yourself down the road? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if there's any major updates, I will post it in my community section. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. And like always, thanks for watching.